6 a.m. I've had to, I have a busy day. I'm going on 3D Boxing's live stream today in a few hours. That's Gary. A lot of you guys might know him. I have to upload a few videos. There's a lot of fights this weekend, so I have a lot of work to do, and I'm running my own business out of my gym. So sorry that I had to move this up an hour from the schedule, and I'm speaking low. My girlfriend spent the night too, so she's sleeping in the bedroom. But we hit last night. We had the Yokohama Japanese card, and hopefully you guys listened to me. Some good fights on that Japanese card, man, and hats off to the Japanese fighters. They are fun, and the Mexican fighters. These guys are fun to watch. Wherever you're tuning in, I say thank you. Remember to like this video. If you don't catch the live stream, I put all the live streams up on our playlist section as well. And if you're new to the channel and we're talking about fights and I'm giving you my prediction, go to the playlist and you'll see my complete analysis breakdown, proper videos, non-live streams on the channel as well. That's what we do here. Let me know where you're tuning in, and let me know if you took our bets, if you made money, how you doing. And tomorrow's live stream, I'll be giving you my locks and money lines. What's good, Johnny? Live later with you and Muscles. Yeah, GOAT. You're in the know, dude. Word spreads quick. I woke up about an hour ago. I wake up every morning at 5 a.m. and I had a bunch of messages. So yeah, we're excited about that live stream. Gary's a wealth of knowledge, and I'm excited to see, pick his brain on a few things. There's a lot of money to be made this weekend. I got all my notes out, so if you guys want to ask any questions, I want to probably, let's touch base on Yokohama. I hit 2 parlays. I gave you guys 2 of them over the week. The one was obviously the 2-legger with Takei and Nunez. But then yesterday I told you to add Nunez to it. Great prospect. Dude, Japan's filled with these guys from 118. 118 is their division. That was a rematch against Hara. The first fight, Nunez stopped him in the 5th. Yesterday, he did the same thing. It took him a few extra rounds. But yeah, these guys are fun to watch. And the more you document, research, the more you bet on these fighters, man, they're firefights. Dude, Rikishi's a dog. Even though I bet against him all week, I just felt like Sugar, that we called it, mate. And this channel isn't for me to get tapped on the shoulder. This channel is for us to really investigate the sport of boxing and really have an educated opinion on when we're talking about these fights, and for us to make money. I just felt like Sugar Nunez, that infighting, that pressure, that pace was going to be the difference. And Rikishi took some shots, and Rikishi boxed well early. I was sweating. The first 3 rounds, I had Rikishi up 2-1. And it could have been, the first 3 rounds, it could have been 2-1. The way I gamble and the way I watch the fights, stress-wise, I'm always giving the guy I bet against, I give the guy I bet against the benefit of the doubt when I'm judging rounds. This is just me when I have a lot of money. And I went heavy on those fights. I told you guys. I went heavy on Takei and Nunez my Sunday night when the odds came out, and I got those 2 guys at $1.69, meaning you put 10K on that, you get almost 7,000 in return. And all week, a lot of you boys were taking Rikishi. I understand why. Rikishi's long, his movement. It's just that, man, when you watch that fight, Nunez's pressure was amazing. His work ethic. Round 2 and 3, I said to myself, Nunez was going to stop him. Rikishi surprised me. Very durable. And guys, a lot of you guys train. A lot of you guys, watch the sport, been watching it for years. So you understand what it takes for a fighter to keep that pace up. But not just for Rikishi, he's fighting backwards. So that in itself is a different energy system. That's exhausting. But Nunez, man, Rikishi landed some bombs. I think it was the 11th round. After Rikishi got punished, the 10th round was brutal. Nunez, I think it was round 7 and 10. I'd like to see some punch stats. Nunez punished Rikishi in the 7th and 10th. But in the 11th, Nunez is pressuring Rikishi, and he does have a lot of holes defensively. He's coming in with both shoulders. I told you he'd do that. He's throwing punches here. The one thing that Nunez does really well, though, defensively, is he places his chin here, and his shoulders are always here. So even when he's coming in and he has holes, he's getting hit on the crown of his head a lot, not here. And that's just his style. He's here. But Rikishi caught him with a brutal uppercut that actually lifted Nunez's feet off the ground. It was a counter uppercut. I, and granted, I had a lot of money on that fight. I'm sweating. I'm like, oh God, could you imagine Rikishi gets a last second knockout? It could have happened. But also, if you watch the fight, how impressive was it to see Nunez in between rounds? After each round, Rikishi's getting watered down, face is swelling up. He has this look in his eyes like this. And you see Nunez sitting there like, it's just a testament to his training. And so that was my point about you guys knowing the sport. And, you know, those of you who train, you know how much work somebody has to put in to be in that great of shape. And we always talk about Mexico, high elevation. That's why the Mexican fighters, when you train cardiovascular system, when you train at elevation, it gives you sort of an added like gear when you're doing any endurance sport, endurance athlete. They literally, the strength and conditioning community and performance outlets have created like rooms to train at elevation to mimic this. This is why, you know, a lot of the American fighters will go to Colorado Springs to train in the mountains. That's called training in elevation. But there's centers down here in Sydney that are elevation centers. So they manipulate the air so you could mimic. It's not as in Mexico naturally just sits there. Afro Jam, big night. Yeah, hopefully everyone won money. And, you know, Big Bear. Yeah, they're Big Bear in California, exactly. And that's what they're doing. And that's why you see this pressure style with the Mexican fighters. It's fascinating to watch. Has amazing conditioning. Do you think he beats any of it? Mate, I put that question, you know, I think so. I think so. Like, you know, I'm high on Ray Ford. I want to see Ray Ford fight Nunez. And Ray Ford's still young too, but we talk about him every now on the channel because we cover his career. I'm a big fan of Ford, especially Ford's last 3 or 4 fights. He changed his style to be more aggressive. That's a fight I want to see. I'm not going to sit here and say one beats the other, but some of the American outlets who are covering the Sugar fight, I went online this morning to see what they were saying. And a lot of the American content creators are saying Ray Ford washes Nunez. I just don't see that. I don't see that at all. Other than the power, other than Nunez's power, from a fighting perspective, you know, the thing that would worry me the most is that pace and Nunez's demeanor throughout a fight. These are things that you're not going to find on BoxRec. These are things that you're not going to find journalists writing about. But the psychology Nunez brings into a fight when you're in the 8th round of a war, like we saw last night, and he's just sitting there like, just this, barely breathing. That does something to a fighter, especially on the other end of the ring if you're starting to fade. If Ford can push Nunez, he should win. Nunez on the back foot game is yeah, I don't think Nunez has a back foot game. I don't think that's a good. But you think? I don't know if Ford could push Nunez back though. I don't know, mate. Yeah, I don't see. Look, as of now, I don't see Ford's style. I don't see Ford's arsenal. Ford doesn't have one punch knockout power. All Nunez is gonna have to do is, the thing with Nunez is once he feels that your best shot can't take him out, he's not going to back up. And this is why those first few rounds, it was really fun because you saw Rikishi's jab. Rikishi in the first 30 seconds lands 2 sharp jabs, and I'm sitting here watching it, and I'm kind of like, you know, if you're betting on fights and you don't want to watch the fights with me, and that's why I don't watch boxing in public. I always have to be in my house, nobody around, because I'm watching them as kind of a total opposite to my natural personality. Like my natural human is I'm very optimistic, but as a fight analyst and I'm betting, I'm pessimistic. I'm seeing those first 2 jabs land in the first 30 seconds, and I'm thinking if Rikishi could keep this up and keep his lateral movement up, I'm like, Nunez is going to get outboxed. But then, you know, as you started seeing the narrative of the fight, rounds 5, I think, you really started seeing, it was like Rikishi forgot he could move. And he stopped moving in 5, 6, and 7, and Nunez started going to the body, brutal, really sitting on his shots. But then Rikishi impressed me in rounds 8, 9. He started moving again. He had this second win out of nowhere, and then his lateral movement started looking exactly like it did in rounds 1 through 3. And that's how you beat Nunez. You have to be a mover. And I think what Rikishi taught us is that you can move and still fight. And somebody commented on the video, and it's why, look, I'm a huge Shakur fan, and it's why some of the fighters and some of the American fighters, when they move, they're not punching, they're not fighting. Rikishi showed the fans that you could still be a mover and still get into a slugfest, and that kid's durable. Yeah, what's up, Jitterbug? Rikishi did well and made a lot of rounds tight, but Nunez kept throwing more. Yeah, Jitterbug for sure. It was Nunez's pressure, Nunez's pace, and without getting too nerdy, part of my education is studying the body's anatomy and physiology. So we have our nervous system. It's our basically your fight or flight, parasympathetic nervous system and sympathetic nervous system. So things happen to our mind subconsciously without us knowing, in terms of being able to make cognitive responses. And when you're getting pressured or you're getting in a fear response, it's tough to make cognitive decisions. So Nunez, his whole style is to put you on that back foot. It's a lot to deal with. It's a lot to deal with. And yeah, hopefully, that's why I said the money line. The money line was great value. I got him Sunday night at $1.58. Takei was only $1.10. He looked great. By fight night though, Nunez dropped from 158 to 139, meaning all that money was coming in, and Takei went from $1.10 to fight night to $1.06. So the good thing with books, the earlier you get in on the money lines, you keep those odds. Takei looked great. And we knew that 15-0 record from Yudapong, the Thai fighter, was kind of soft. And this is nothing against the Thai boxers, but they're known historically as Muay Thai fighters, the art of 8 limbs. When it comes to boxing, it's a total different thing, because I've sparred, living here in Sydney, there's a huge Muay Thai influence here. And I've sparred tons of Muay Thai guys, like white Aussies who pick up Muay Thai. They see me box and they want to spar. The thing Muay Thai guys don't do is sit on their punches, because they have to check kicks. And they have to check things. They have to check elbows, they have to check kicks. So they tap a lot. It's a different sort of thing. Boxing, we only got our hands, so we're taught to dig our heels in, and sit on punches. So whenever there's a Thai fighter with a padded record going against a Japanese champ, I hope you guys picked. I hope you picked Takei, because that dude's a beast. There's some great Japanese fighters, mate. Let me know where you guys are tuning in from. Let me know who you like going forward. Guys, there's a parlay right now that's floating around that I've been talking to Gary from 3D Boxing via message, and we're going live together in a couple hours. But there's a parlay with a lot of prospects. If you combine Vegas, the plant card, and you combine Mexico, the Bektamir card, there's a nice 2-to-1 parlay that, I don't want to say low risk, low stress, but it's looking good. A lot of prospects. I put Takei 1-4 to recover. Yeah, that's nice. You got excellent. Well, Takei 1-4. I love how we could always look in hindsight at it being a great pick, because I got to be honest, the reason why I avoided the method of victory bets on my large parlay is that even though Nunez was a knockout artist, I was like, the risk of that, like going super heavy, I don't like doing that. But that's why I do my method of victory bets on a separate ticket, and then really not put too much money on that, because the odds will be higher. But the money line, I'll put a lot of money on. And I think we've hit, because we lost, in the I Keep Receipts, we lost the Josh Taylor money line. But that same night, I hit an 8-leg. There was that card in Poland with all the Czech fighters I posted. So I hit those 8, and then I hit 2 yet. So I'm 10. We're back on track, 10 out of 10. But that's 55 out of 56 money line picks I've picked since the Times Square card. So since the Ryan Garcia loss, I've gone 55 out of 56. Nunez versus Foster, who you got? Like I said, hand history. And I cover Oshaki. He's a champ. Great skills, great boxer. Nunez has holes. Nunez, in at 28 years old, we always talk about fighters, a lot of fighters in their mid to late 20s. We see a lot of unfinished products. Nunez, what you see is what you get. He's a finished product. His style, there's nothing he's going to change. So, meaning there's holes there. I think the guy who beats Nunez, though, you either have to have cardio for days if you're going to outpoint him, or you have to meet his power with power. Foster doesn't have that power, but he could box. How long could he do it for? And we've seen him do it before. It's a good fight. Conceição. See, these are all movers. See, these are. I'm up on Hobson. Conceição's a great box, but these are movers. And that division has a lot of movers. You know, everyone we're naming here at 30. And this is why when I did my breakdown on Nunez, I'm like, you never see guys at 130 with 100% knockout to win ratio with almost 30 career fights. Now, you know, he's 28-1 with 27 knockouts now. I think I would take Nunez over Ford. I'm leaning that and Foster. See? And, you know, he just fought, and those fights aren't in paper. But the minute Nunez gets signed, and I know right now Eddie Hearn's petitioning for a big fight. They're texting people. And I saw, if you go to Ray Ford's Instagram, Ray Ford shouted out Sugar and congratulated him and then tagged Eddie and said, let's get this fight signed. So Ray's a dog. Ray wants that fight. And it was interesting listening to the announcers last night, kind of, you know, referencing why Kakachi vacated 130 because he didn't want the fight, which is exactly what happened. Nunez versus Navarrete would be fun. I think I got Foster and Ford beating Nunez. I don't think anyone beats Ford at 30. You don't think anyone beats Ray Ford at 30? I don't know. You know, didn't he fight the Gunner Man? I think Ray, we covered that fight like a month ago. The question is whether Foster can handle his aggression and not fold. That's the thing, guys. It's that pressure. Ford takes too many rounds off, had a tough time against Klemenov and Ball. Yeah, since the Ball fight, though, Ford has made some adjustments. Ford is adding tools to his game. And I think with Ford's style, he's getting more confident in sitting on shots. He's getting more confident using his power. He's fighting smarter. So, yeah, Ford has, you know, even though he's already there, world class, there is still upside. Yeah, Matisse, the Gunner Man. Yeah, you know, Matisse on paper, he had a lot of knockouts, kind of a big rangier veteran fighter, but it wasn't that exciting of a fight. Was able to start Rocky. So many matchups, man. This is why boxing's great. All it takes is one great performance from a rising contender or an unknown prospect to just add their name to the list. And this is why I say on my breakdown videos, what have you done for me lately? One fight could now put all these potential matchups. And 130, now, you know, you add Nunez to that list of champions, but you're Navarrete. I think Nunez is a bad matchup for Navarrete because Navarrete is going to want to stand and trade with him. And we know Navarrete's style and all the holes. He has to call his defense leaky might be an understatement. You think Nunez can get a late stoppage against Foster? I mean, I don't want to disrespect. Oh, against Foster? Man, I could see it. Yeah, Navarrete's not even in shape. Yeah, I don't know if the camps would want to do Nunez and Navarrete right now. Tell me about Beck. Looks like he got an upcoming. Yeah, Beck. We covered Beck's fighting DFG Fulgham. I'm taking Bektemir in that fight. The money's good on it. I might, and this is what I was telling Gary in text message today. We're gonna cover it. Yeah, Beck is fighting DFG Fulgham. The odds right now. Give me 1 second. So Beck is $1.84. Fulgham's $2.10. It's almost even money. Now, if I've done my analysis and breakdown and prediction of that fight, and I gave you guys Bektemir, but each weekend I go heavy on a parlay. I'm not that confident. That could go either way. I say it all the time. Boxing is the worst sport to be a casual, but the best be. Yeah, and if you're a true boxing fan, you can make a lot of money. Suarez could beat Navarrete in the rematch. Suarez was coming on. Charlie impressed me, guys. Charlie impressed me. We'll see if he gets that rematch. We'll see. Charlie could box. Charlie's amateur pedigree. And the thing I was most impressed with Charlie is the mind. That dude came to win. And, you know, he was giving Navarrete, you could kind of feel that fight going a specific way. But with Navarrete, it's tough to predict outcomes. You can't count him out. You know, think about the Liam Wilson fight when he got starched and he got like a 20-second count in the second against the Aussie, and then Liam got knocked out, I think, in the 7th or 9th. I don't think Suarez can pull that off again. He did have to dig deep. And what's Charlie, 36 now? But back to the Bektemir fight. My prediction analysis and breakdown from film study, I'm leaning on Beck. Am I going to put that Beck fight on my parlay, which I'm putting a lot of money on? I don't know. I'll tell you guys tomorrow. I might put Beck on a separate parlay with kind of some even odds, 2-1 odds, because that, like I said, that's almost the Gala. I might, put the Beckmere fight on the Galagos Co parlay because that's it even too. If you put Beck, the winner of Beck versus EFG, the winner of Galagos versus Co, those are really good odds. You could put like a cheeky 100 if you take Beck and Galagos, 5-1, 4-1 right now. 100 gets you your money back plus 400. But I'm thinking about putting, like I said, the money I won last night, I'm putting on a cheeky prospect parlay, and that's how I win my money. Yeah, Vic, I like Beck and Galagos money lines. And Victor, man, from Bulgaria, we've live streamed early. This is 2-3 hours earlier than I usually go. So you asked yesterday, there you go. But guys, if you look at your book, there's prospects, like I said at the start of this, there's prospects on the Vegas card, there's prospects on the Mexico card that are, their opponents are built to get steamrolled. Money lines. That's how I went all my money on money lines. In this last month, I'm up a lot, like I said, because the casual bettor will see the odds, money lines, and be like, oh, that's 4-1, he could win. And they'll hit 3 out of 4, and they never win. I'm seeing the vision of the prospect parlay. Goat, I told you, mate. Ideally, a big bettor would say it's too risky to do an 8-leg parlay and go heavy. Yeah, it's too risky to do that in baseball, football, basketball. But in boxing, when you have these cards and you have these promotional companies with these prospects who are fighting to rise, the matchmaking is ridiculous sometimes. Exactly. So like, I got the list up right here, like Garcia, Dominguez, Griffiths, Pacheco, Valenzuela. That's in Mexico. You add in Carl Martin, who's a tough prospect, Blanco, and Lucero. And then if you want, you could add Charlo and Plant at $1, $8, $6. That's $249, dude. That's $249. That's double your money. You know what I mean? You put 1,000, you get 1,500 back plus your money back. So I'm gonna cover that in detail tomorrow. There's a couple fights I'm torn on with, like, I like the Yenli Hernandez fight. I like Hernandez, man. Guys, I don't know if I'm gonna have enough time to upload my breakdown of Yenli. He's fighting Kyron Davis, but Yenli Hernandez is a Cuban fighter. I don't see MJ on FanDuel. Yeah, MJ right now is $1.02. So is the juice worth the squeeze even throwing him on there? All the ones I said are like $6s, $9s, but Yenli's $1.20 fighting Kyron Davis. Now, Yenli's a Cuban fighter, undefeated, but he's not your traditional Cuban fighter. He's not a runner. He's gonna stand and bang. And he's a fun guy because over the last 20 years, when we hear Cuban style, we think of movers. Think William Skull. He's the most recent one. I recently experimented with the big money line parlays and boxing. Agree, been getting success. Jitterbug. Another goes to stealth. I like the goes the distance. Stealth, with the goes the distance, it's like, what's your max though? It's a good question. Stealth, go in the distance. What's your margin of how many fights you'd pick? Because, every now and then you get a stoppage. Is no joke. No, for sure. Kyron Davis is no joke. And he did beat Elijah in a decision. And Elijah, young guy, I like Elijah, big for the division. Sometimes he has lulls in his output. Sometimes he doesn't throw enough. But watch tape on Yenli. Yenli, I think Kyron is just that one. Okay, nice. 2-1 odds. I think Kyron's tailor-made. If you like Davis, if you think he could beat him, he's a 4-1 dog. I don't see it. I like Yenli in that fight. Carl Martin, what's the most you've ever bet, Johnny? When you say you're going, you always ask. No, the most I've ever bet was 10K. I made, like I said, I told you guys this story a couple days ago on a live stream. The most I've ever bet in this recent version of me, because I used to live in Vegas. From 2011 to 2013, I lived in Las Vegas. I worked on the Strip. I was a bartender at a bar in Planet Hollywood. So I used to gamble a lot. Won't stay there and bang. Yeah, the most recent version of me on this is 10K. That's for me, that's going heavy. But I build up to that. You know, like I like building things. I have my own system. You know, if I've never taken 10K out of my account though. I want to let you guys know that. The most I've ever deducted out of my bank account into my sports bet account, the most ever is 100. So I build these bets up from a $100 bet. I used to build up from a $10 bet. So I've won thousands before building parlays from a $10 bet and just being patient over the month. And that's something if I could give, I'm 43 now, if I could give my 33-year-old version advice, I would say be patient, because a lot of bettors are impulsive and you want to win and you want to win it on that night. You have to have a vision. Look, what I do for my channel, if you've been around a while, you'll know, I print out on a big whiteboard the fights for the whole month. So I look at each fight a longer story. So if I hit, like I hit last night, I'm not taking it out. You know, if it pays a bill, I will. But if it's the big money line parlay money that I've won, I keep it in and I'm building it. Do you think you live off of being a sports bettor? Yeah, I know. I've met in the last month, Jitterbug, I've met two dudes that I talk to every day who all they do is sports bet. And one of them I'm going live with. So 3D boxing. I know guys who make, you know, who bet, like last night, bet 50 grand on the 2 picks and they won, do the maths. So they bet 50K to win, I think 37K. So yeah, I know a few of these guys and I met them all on my channel and they send me the bet slips and I see the slips and I'm like, and it changed my whole outlook, not for me to bet heavy like they do, but to be patient in the sense of you don't have to build parlays to find 4-1, 5-1, 6-1 odds. Will those hit? Yeah. Like last 2 weeks ago, I hit a 22-1. I was ringside to the Sydney, Australia card. Sam Goodman, the dude I went with, took my lead 22-1. He put 1,000. He won 22K. But the guys I've met in the last month, it's like I don't. Before, if I had a parlay like yesterday, which was $1.69, I'd be like, what's the value? $10 to win 17 bucks. But if you save and you build, that $10 turns to 10K to win 6,900 bucks. You see what I'm saying? So there's a patient element to this. There's a, you know, just remove impulse from the whole entire thing, and I think you'll be fine. And just be patient, because guys, we don't have a season. There's fights all. Yeah, 50K. I have receipts too. I post them Victor, in our post section. 50K. But this is what pro gamblers will do. They'll find there's no such thing as a safety bet, because like Josh Taylor will fuck you like he did last week. You know what I mean? I think Taylor was $1.20. A lot of, me included, put him on a parlay, loaded up, and he lost. So those things do happen. So you can't win them all, but you could win 80%. Like 80% is a great, you know, and I'm interested to see over the next 11 months, because in my first month of this doing on YouTube, like I said, I'm 55 for 56 with all receipts. So do the percentage. Was that 99%? I'm at 99% on my money line bets. So, but you know, we don't have a season, which I was getting at. We have boxing year round, guys. Boxing year round, which is crazy. With, you know, the corruption of promotional companies, boxing year round with corrupted promotional companies, meaning that you're gonna put prospects in there with dudes they're just gonna dog walk. Because here's something, yeah, me too, DJ. Here's something I learned over the last 2 years, something you don't know about me. I used to manage two female fighters from Sydney at a gym called Bondi Boxing Club. And in that experience, I think we worked together for a total of 5 fights. What I learned that I didn't know about once I was inside the business side of boxing is that the prospects and rising contenders, their team, their camp, when they bring in fighters they pay for their travel, they pay for their hotel, they pay for the ref, they pay for the judges, all for getting the victory. So 99% of the time when you see these odds, I don't want to say it's a foregone conclusion, but on the undercard with the prospects, these victories are almost paid for, because it's part of the policy and the underlying unspoken politics of boxing. Especially if you have a fighter trying to raise their stock in the rankings. And so this is where the corruption lies. But this is where we as the bettors can make money. I was ranting, so I missed some of these comments. Guys, it's 6:30. I'm going live with Gary on his channel in 3.5 hours. So, you guys are finding me real early. Guys, wherever you are, like this video. Let me know if you followed my lead last night in Japan. Let me know if you won money. We know we hit $1.69. That's all you could ask for. Like I said, even if you had $10 on that, you get your money back plus 7. Now on your sports bet account, you have 17 bucks. Just keep doubling down. Take the 17, turn it into 50, turn the 50 into 100, and just be patient with it. I know, Jitterbug, I got to get into the live betting. I think I told you guys this last week. My issue with the live betting here is that in Sydney, and I think maybe all of Australia, it forces you to call and talk to an operator. And if I'm watching a fight, I'm like, man, I ain't trying to talk to an operator. I want to just be able to do that shit digitally. Live bet, transfer, yeah, no. My book makes you press 1-800 and you have to talk to someone, so I've never done it. There's a bit of shame to that, I feel. It's like, I don't want to talk. Okay, let me talk to you about money. I'm going to wager on a fight. Yeah, so they don't make it easy for us to do live betting here. Another fight I really like. Carl Martin. Right now, guys, check. We're talking locks. Carl Martin versus Portillo. Martin is one of these prospects I'm telling you guys about who was fighting a guy who was just cannon fodder. He's only $1.14, Martin. UFC picks. What about the hand history vault? Like I told you, my bread and butter. I just posted a photo of my old podcast. I used to cover MMA. So you're not about to cash out. That's crazy. Well, we talk about it all the time. You have to have perimeters, guys, cashing out, depending where your money's at, depending on, your lifestyle. Have perimeters. My philosophy on it, if your winnings could pay a bill, cash out, always. Whether it's a $200 bill, if it could pay your rent, cash out. And then over time, you do that and your wins pile up, then you could have other philosophies. You know what I mean? But if you're starting from the ground up, your philosophy should always be, if my winnings could pay a bill, cash out. So yeah, that's definitely my advice to anybody out there. With UFC and MMA, I meant cash out while the fight is ongoing. My book doesn't let me do that. No, I think live betting, is that what you guys mean by live betting? I thought live betting is as the fight swings and the odds change, you could bet a live bet and add more money to the bet. Or are you guys referring to live betting meaning that if you're losing, you could live and cash out? Because we call that something else. We don't call that live betting. I thought live betting is wagering on the fluctuation of odds depending on which side it goes. My issue with betting on MMA and UFC, guys, is that there's too much parity in the sport. 5 years ago, it was much easier to win money. But with the influx of like the pandemic, with so many fight cards, with the Dana White Contender Series, with looking for a fight, with the region, a lot of the fights are hard to pick. That sucks in the Taylor fight. It was obvious. So, yeah, we're still salty. We're still salty about that Taylor fight. Yeah, he just didn't do enough. And it's always easy to look back and, hindsight's 20/20. All right, guys. So I wonder if you're able to at least cash out on the profits. Once, Victor, like for instance, what my app allows me to do, there's a fight card on Saturday and Sunday. Let's say I have an 8-leg parlay, 4 on Saturday, 4 on Sunday. I've hit all 4 on Saturday. My app allows me to cash out if I want to. So yeah, makes it easier for you to cash it. No shit, DJ. That's what you guys meant by live betting. Okay, live betting is about taking advantage. Yeah, hand history. That's what I thought. Live betting is about taking advantage of the fluctuation of odds. That's what I've always thought it was, and especially in like the NBA. If you've been watching the playoffs, mate, how many 20-point come from behind victories have we seen? What's up, Jay? So live betting in the NBA is where these guys are fucking getting rich right now. And the NBA is volatile. I mean, I don't talk about it, but I made a lot of money in this year's playoffs doing like the money line and the over. Dude, the total points yesterday in Indy and the Knicks game were like at halftime. They almost had already hit, I think the over was 221. And at halftime, they're already almost there. So on NBA, I pick overs and unders, total points. That's it. But if you look at, yeah, I'm gonna try and take advantage of the NBA playoffs next year. There's money there, guys. Johnny, what's your prospect picks for this weekend? Great question. And I'm gonna give you my printout tomorrow on my live. But right now, if you guys have a pen, I got my laptop. I don't know how. I know some of the streamers pull up the screen and you guys could see it. Pardon, I'm old. Like I grew up in the generation we didn't even have cell phones, so I'm still learning. Daniel Garcia, we'll do this together. Let's build this real quick before I let you guys go. Daniel Garcia, Grant Flores, Santiago Dominguez, Caden Griffins, Pacheco, Gabriel Valenzuela. You could call MJ, like right now, MJ and Edwards, they're only at $1 too. Carl Martin, love that fight. Already, we're at, this is a 7, so let's say you want to go heavy on 7 fighters. This gets you 50% of your money. What we just did, but I'm gonna go more. This is how I hit a 22 legger and a 15 legger. Right now, this pays $1.54. Blancas, Easter, Lucero. Okay, that's 10 fights right there. My book is paying $1.94. You add Charlo and Plant to that. Now that's double your money. Now that's 12 legs, which sounds crazy. You know, you know when it hits, you look like a genius. Like, but that's 12 fights right there with prospects from Mexico and Vegas. And to be honest with you, and right now, you know, 10,000 pays me 23,000. I'm gonna give you my for sure picks tomorrow. To be honest with you, the only fight I would sweat on that, which is crazy, is the Charlo fight. Based off of the high level, he's fighting Cornflake. We haven't seen Charlo in a while. Charlo's gonna wash Cornflake. But if I'm riding 10K on that, because it's one of the last fights, what I've been known to do, let's say the first 8 hit, and I'm waiting on the main event. And after we just saw what happened with Josh Taylor, this weekend, I would cash out. Even though Charlo's only $1.08, I would take my 18,000 and cash out. But guys, I'm gonna get more into those prospects in detail tomorrow. Tune into 3D Boxing today. Go to Gary's page. You'll catch me on that show. Appreciate everyone tuning in. All I ask for you guys to like this video, comment, stay tuned to the channel. Boxing, so much coming up. Hopefully you're listening, and let's get that money.